This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to look at some viewer work that was sent in. I want to begin right here with this. This comes to us from Wouter Vanhees. This is called Against the Tide. There's no note that came with this. This book is amazing. I'm going to read you part of the intro here so you can see what this is about. So he writes, Mumbai is a city of contradictions and ironies. It's strange to think that one could feel alienated and alone in such an overpopulated place. Where people think the city of dreams must come with plenitude, there feels like a dearth of actual opportunity. There's the contrast with the rich elite and the destitute labor classes, the dichotomy of time with the Mumbai we know and the Bombay we once knew. Mumbai feels like it belongs to everyone, and yet at the same time it belongs to no one. None of us really knew what life in Mumbai had in store for us. No member of the pacifist was born or raised here, or to lay claim to this city, but that doesn't change the fact that we belong. Mumbai is our home, and with all the love-hate hyperbole that comes with living in the city, we'd have it no other way. We tried to capture that unsettling feeling of dissonance and ode to that stark contrast through our music and visuals. Our narrative is far removed from geological pride and instead more rooted in socio-political consciousness, and Mumbai has plenty of character to show in that regard. Welcome to the jungle. So Pacifist is the name of the band that you see repeatedly in here. This is extremely well done, Wouter. I think you've done an outstanding job. A couple things that I want to point out. First of all, I love the fact the whole thing is in black and white. Your images have a really nice drama to them. They're very high contrast, and it's a personal thing that I really dig. I like the way that you have a wide range of aesthetics that you go for on here. For architectural photos, stuff with people, interesting angles. I love this one above the two trains. This is really well done. The other thing that I love that you're doing in here is the way you vary the layout, and sometimes allowing a lot of negative space and breathing room on these pages, and the fact that it changes constantly, and it does add interest that propels you through looking at this, and I think you've done an absolutely outstanding job. I also love the fact that it kind of feels like a journal in a way. I love the band rehearsal photos that are mixed in here, and it kind of feels a little bit day in the life in places. Anyway, I love this. I think it's outstanding. I will link this up in the show description. Wouter, thank you for sending. This is unbelievably good. All right, so next up is this book that is a very personal journey from Rand Leeb-du-Toit. So this is a collection, or Rand calls it a mosaic, of aerial images in Australia in a place called Shark Bay. It's wonderfully abstract. It's extremely beautiful, and it's also a very personal note because Rand is a heart transplant survivor. I'm going to read you the preface in here because I think this will give you a little bit of context. He writes, "Life, like the landscapes we inhabit, is both vast and fragile. From above, the world reveals its intricate patterns and textures, its infinite beauty and undeniable impermanence. This aerial perspective, captured the sweeping vistas of Shark Bay, Western Australia, provides a lens through which to view not only the earth, but also the journey of the human spirit. It is this duality, fragility and resilience, that lies in the heart of the book. I present it to you as a deeply personal reflection on survival, transformation, and the power of renewal. Being a heart transplant survivor, I know intimately the profound gift of a second chance. These pages combine two perspectives, the ethereal aerial images that symbolize freedom and perspective, and the intimate portraits that confront the rawness of survival and the scars that remain. Together, they tell a story of life seen from both above and from within, a journey of embracing fragility while finding strength and renewal." So Rand, I really appreciate the personal story in here, and the work is fabulous. I really love this. I love the emotional content, but I really love how you're treating abstracts with aerial images and the way you use a variety of color. The pacing in here is extremely good. There's a lot to like about this. One thing I want to point out, and I think this is what you're talking about with the duality. A lot of times you have aerial images that are purely abstract. They're just kind of color. They have shape in there, and they have a wonderful feel to them. And then other times you splice it in with this stuff, which is probably my favorite. And so, what you see is an abstract, and you think you have a context of scale, and then you realize something in the image blows that up, and you don't have a context of scale. It's much bigger than it is. And in this case, it's the truck and the trailers up here. This is outstanding. I really like this. It's interesting because this reminds me of early on this channel. This is over 10 years ago. I did a video on abstract photography, and as I was researching that, a lot of the early photographers that were considered to be abstract were people who were doing, stuff like radiology or macro photography. But one of those was actually the first photographers that were able to fly in planes and shoot aerial images. And you have to remember in context, that was in a time where most people had not been in an airplane, and it was a view of the world that they had never seen. And so abstraction came to play, but it was kind of out of the result of being able to shoot from that new perspective. Anyway, this is really wonderful, and I think you have taken that in a whole new direction with obviously the modern technology that we have. The book is very well printed. The color is outstanding in here, and that's one of my favorite elements of this. So I will put a link to everybody in the show description below. Make sure you check out Rand's work. Rand, awesome job, my man. Okay, so I've got some zines that I want to share with you guys, and 2 of these were done by individuals who took my zine workshop back in June. Before I get to these, though, I want to give a shout out to the awesome folks who support all of this stuff, who support me showing your work and make all this possible. I'm talking about the awesome folks over at Squarespace. How easy is it to build an amazing website in a matter of minutes? Squarespace has you covered. It's dead simple. Head over to Squarespace, hit Get Started. You can start by selecting from an impressive collection of customizable templates, or you can do what I do, build your own. Something unique because, you're not like other websites. Give your site a name. Next, you can build your homepage. We'll start with a few preset layouts just to get us going. Want to sell products like books or prints? Well, you can feature those on your homepage. Create a few more sections if you want. Let's also give it a color palette. There's a whole bunch to choose from, and just get us started. We can change this all later. Next, let's select the typography choices. Welcome to your website. Everything is set up and it's all ready for you to customize. Squarespace is built on Fluid Engine, the next generation of website design. Select Edit, and Fluid Engine allows you to drag, place, and resize any element on the page. You can snap these to a grid, you can make them float on top of one another, you can freeform however you like. You can even preview and adjust how the site looks on either desktop or mobile. The layouts are independent. Of course, you'll want a portfolio for your work. Creating an image gallery is as easy as dropping a folder of images on your web browser. Once uploaded, you can drag to resort, customize the look, and Squarespace writes all of the code for you. Everything just works and it looks fabulous. Want to sell your own prints, books, or zines? Squarespace has the capabilities to not only set up your online store and collect payments, but they also give you all the tools that you're going to need to be successful. Managing shipping and payment options, manage your orders, and engage with your customers. They even give you the tax tools that you need to keep things organized and stay compliant. You should try Squarespace for yourself. It's absolutely free, no credit card required. Just go to squarespace.com/AOP, sign up for that free trial. If you decide Squarespace is right for you, I can save you an additional 10% on your order by using offer code AOP on checkout. That's right, the code is AOP. So stop procrastinating, go build your website today. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Okay, so I want to share this zine that comes to us from Dusan Maletic, and this is called Zine Number 1. It actually has a name. This is Inner Space, Texas Impressions on a New Texan. And Dusan has recently moved to Texas. He's not native. He lives just down the street from me a little ways near Austin. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love about how this came out, is that seeing your own state kind of interpreted, or your own area of the country interpreted by somebody who's not from here, is really interesting to me. I love that Dusan shoots any wide variety of styles in here. There's wonderful use of subframing and color. Some of these images are really deadpan too. This is one of my favorite spreads. It's the 2 gas stations. It kind of reminds me of Ed Ruscha's gas station paintings that he did. This is really excellent. I really like the way this came out. The abstract color in the middle. A couple of the things that we worked on in the zine workshop was actually that in layout. The mixture of having images that have borders and then taking advantage of full bleed spots. And I think that Dusan has done this in a very effective way. This ends with some low light images that actually ended up coming out pretty good. We had a discussion about that. The back cover is a little on the dark side, but anyway, he talked about this in his letter about getting a proof copy next time. But anyway, Dusan, awesome work. I will link this up below. You guys should check this out. Very well done, my man. Also from our workshop, this is Denny Behm. This is called Birds in the Wild. Denny is a bird photographer, obviously, and he has some really awesome stuff in here. I think this came out great. I think the printing looks good. The pacing is exceptionally good too, and we did a lot of work on pacing and pairing. And one of the things that I love about Denny's style is that he does stuff with these backgrounds that have these kind of pastel kinds of tones to them, and I think the editing on these is superb. It's not too much. It has a really natural natural look to it. It really looks good. My favorite image in here, and I think that a lot of people would just die to have this in their portfolio, but the image of this tree with the bird that's behind the pyramid, it's really awesome. I do know a little bit about the behind the scenes on this, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but I highly recommend you guys check this scene out. I love the way this came out. It is really good. We'd also talked about leaving the little space here so this could stand on its own. Another image I love is this crane with the light, the way it glows under the wings. This was taken at a really interesting time of the day. Anyway, Denny, I hope you're proud of this, man. This came out great, and I will link Denny up in the show description below as everybody else, and good job, man. I hope you're excited. This is awesome. And finally, I've got a very interesting zine called Short Trips Volume 1, Staten to Manhattan. This comes to us from Lance Gailyard. Anyway, Lance includes a note in here which reads, "Dear Ted, firstly, this is amazing that you highlight photographers who have amazing work, but possibly small audiences. This is my first zine, and it's made up of multiple trips from Staten Island to Manhattan. Street photography has become a passion of mine. It really helped me at a tough time in my life. Photography has become therapy for me. I really appreciate you taking a look at this. Thank you, Lance." Lance, this is outstanding. A couple of comments that I want to make on this. First of all, I love the concept. So I love the way this starts out with the train station images. This feels really interesting to me. It starts to tell a story. It feels like we're going somewhere, and it's an excellent beginning. I love the transition to black and white on these images. The part that I'm not so sure about is that when we start getting into the Manhattan shots, and what I mean by that is you're starting to tell a story, and I know that you're trying to do establishment of place, and I get that. And this is an area where I think you're going to need to dig a little deeper and make some more discoveries with, because it becomes a little postcardish when I see landmarks of New York. And the only reason I say that is they're images that we're already familiar with. And you set this up with the transition shots, and then you go to something like this that works. The guy on the deck here, and you've got something in the background. This starts to tell me a story again. So that's what I would get to is you know, when you consider what you're doing with a body of work, and I think that you're on the way, definitely. And I think this looks about 80% of the way there. What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to say? And I think when you get into areas where you're telling me things that I'm not familiar with location-wise, you know, maybe these two images don't necessarily say Manhattan, but there are ways to do that where you're not exactly just getting landmarks in there. You're going to continue in what you're trying to dig into with street photography, where you're essentially telling that story. These are really well done, though. And I think when this is working, it's really working. I love the night shots in here. I would just be a little careful about the landmark stuff like this, where you have the raindrops and obviously you're shooting through some kind of texture or staircase. These start to tell me a story, and they start to work as a narrative. And I think that's where this is really strong. So anyway, as I said, I want to see you continue doing this, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And this is an awesome start. So anyway, I'm going to link up to everybody in the show description. So make sure you support your colleagues, all that good stuff. I want to thank everybody who sent stuff in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, later.